Hey everyone, today's mastery objective is I can use a written method to add and subtract mixed numbers with unlike denominators within word problems with no regrouping. I will do this by using the method. I know I have met the objective when I can correctly add and subtract 2 out of 2 mixed numbers with unlike denominators within word problems on the exit ticket. Guided Learning Part A. Says Ariana talks on the phone to her friends for 2 2/5 hours on Saturday and 1 3/4 hours on Sunday. How long did Ariana spend talking on the phone to her friends over the weekend? Well, after I read the problem, I'm thinking I'm going to be adding 2 of the mixed numbers. So I know that I'm going to be using addition. On Saturday, Ariana talks for 2 2/5 hours. On Saturday, she talks on to her, I'm sorry, on Sunday, she talks on the phone to her friends for 1 3/4 hours. So I'm seeing these mixed numbers have different denominators. Just like when we were using fractions yesterday, we need to make sure that we're using common denominators, even though these are mixed numbers. So let's see, we'll change up the color. We're going to start by listing our multiples of 5, because that's the denominator here, and of 4, because that's the denominator here. Erase that. See. All right. So we're going to be listing the first 5 multiples of 5 and 4. 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. 4 is going to be 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Looking at both lists, I can see that the number that's the smallest that's in both lists is going to be 20. So I know my common denominator is going to be 20. I'm going to rewrite each mixed number with a denominator of 20. So we're going to start with 2 2/5. 2 2/5 written as 20 is when we're creating a mixed number and that's equivalent, the whole number stays the same because we're just trying to find an equivalent fraction. We're not cutting up the 2 wholes. So I'm going to see, what do I multiply by 5 to get to 20? I can know that 5 times 4 is 20. Because I multiplied the denominator by 4, I'm going to multiply the numerator by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So 2 2/5 is equivalent to 2 8/20. I'm going to use, let's see, orange. I'm going to do 1 3/4. Once again, we're going to make a common denominator of 20, but our whole number stays the exact same because we're not cutting up the whole into anything. We're just cutting up the one that's not completely filled. 4 times 5 equals 20. Because we multiplied the denominator by 5, we're going to multiply the numerator by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So now that we have our common denominators being 20, we're going to go ahead and add 2 8/20, which we got here, plus 1 15/20, which is what we got here. We're going to add them up. Always start by adding the fractions. 8/20 plus 15/20 is 23/20. Now we can add the whole numbers. 2 wholes plus 1 whole is 3 wholes. 3 23/20. Well, I see the numerator is bigger than the denominator, so I know that I can at least take out 1 more whole. 1 whole would be 20 over 20, so that would now be 4 wholes. And if 20 over 20 is 1 whole, I need 3 more parts to get to 23, so that'd be 3/20. 3 23/20 is equivalent to 4 3/20. Our answer is 4 3/20 hours. Let's go ahead and start part B. Gideon is visiting a friend in New Hampshire over the weekend. It usually takes Gideon 1 2/3 hours to get to his friend's house, but there was so much traffic over the weekend that it took him 2 3/4 hours. How much longer did it take Gideon to get to his friend's house over the weekend than it usually does? Well, I'm looking and I'm seeing that how much longer most likely means I'm subtracting. So I know that I'm going to use my subtraction sign. My 2 3/4 hours is my larger fraction. It's how much he ended up driving over the weekend. And 1 2/3 hours is how much it usually takes him to drive. Once again, I'm going to start by finding our common denominators between 4 and 3. I can do this by listing out the multiples of each denominator. That would be 4 and listing out the multiples of 3. Let's see, 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. 3 would be 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Looking at both of these lists, I can see that the number that's smallest in both lists are 12. So I knew my common denominator is going to be 12. Just like we did with fractions, we're going to find equivalent fractions for these mixed numbers, starting with 2 and 3/4. Our denominator is going to be 12 because that's what was in both lists. Our whole number is going to stay the same because we're not cutting up our holes. We're just cutting up the hole that doesn't completely fill. 4 times what equals 12? Well, I know 4 times 3 equals 12. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So 2 and 3/4 is equivalent to 2 and 9/12. Let's do the same thing for our other, actually let me use orange. 1 and 2/3 is equivalent to how many 12ths? Well, once again, my whole number stays the same. And now 3 times 4 equals 12. So let's multiply the numerator by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So 1 and 2/3 is equivalent to 1 and 8/12. Now that we have this, we can go ahead and subtract 2 and 9/12, which we got over here, minus 1 and 8/12, which we got here. Remember to always start by subtracting the fraction first, not the whole numbers. 9/12 minus 8/12 is 1/12. Now 2 wholes minus 1 whole is 1 whole. Our answer is 1 and 1/12 hours. Part C. Emily and Kylie are having a jumping contest. Emily jumps 2 2/5 yards. Kylie jumps 3/4 yards. What is the total distance that the girls jump? Let's see, total distance most likely means I'm adding. So I'm going to be adding 2 2/5 plus 3/4. Oh, interesting. So this time I'm adding a mixed number plus a fraction. Well, if there's no whole number in front of here, I know that there's no holes that have been completely filled yet. So this is actually a 0. We're adding 0 holes. We're just adding the 3/4. That's going to be helpful later on. Let's start by listing our multiples of both 5 and 4. So 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. The number that's found in both lists is going to be 20. And so now we can make equivalent fractions or equivalent whole or mixed numbers. Starting with 2 and 2/5, we can go ahead and make our denominator 20. Note that the whole number stays the same, so 2. Let's see, 5 times 4 equals 20, so let's multiply by the 4 on top or on the numerator. 2 times 4 is 8. So 2 and 2/5 equals 2 and 8/20. Let's do the same thing over here for the second fraction, which is 3/4. And once again, we're making a common denominator of 20. So 4 times 5 equals 20. We're going to multiply the numerator by 5 since we multiplied the denominator by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So we can go ahead and add these up. See, we'll use green. 2 and 8/20 plus 15/20. Let's see. Start with the fractions. 8/20 plus 15/20 is 23/20. 2 plus nothing or 0, so 2 holes plus 0 holes is 2 holes. This equals 2 and 23/20. But that means the numerator is greater than the denominator. We can always rewrite that. 1 whole is equal to 20/20. So we can regroup and put 1 more whole in the ones place. So now we have 3 holes, 20/20. We need 3 more parts to get to 23/20. So that would be 3/20. So the girls in total jumped 3 and 3/20 yards. All right, let's do guided learning part D. Miss Milanese enters her prize-winning pigs in the county fair. The first pig, Petunia, weighs 8 3/4 pounds. Her second pig, Wilbur, weighs 2 pounds. Third pig, Ophelia, weighs 5 1/2 pounds. How much do the 3 pigs weigh in all? Well, in all helps me know that I'm going to be adding. So we're going to be adding 8 3/4 plus 2 2/3 plus 5 1/2. Okay, so even though there's 3 numbers or 3 mixed numbers that we're adding, we still need to make a list of all the multiples for each of the denominators. So we're going to be making a list of multiples for 4, 3, and 2. Let's see. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. I'm going to look at all of these lists, and I'm going to see the one number that appears in all lists. Starting with 4, I can see that's in the list of multiples of 4 and the list of multiples of 2, but it doesn't appear in the list of multiples of 3, so 4 is not going to be one of our common denominators. 8 appears in our list of multiples of 4 and our list of multiples of 2, but it doesn't appear in our list of multiples of 3, so 8 is not going to be our common denominator. 12 appears in our list of multiples of 4, in our list of multiples of 3, and in our list of multiples of 2. So 12 is our common denominator. So let's make equivalent mixed numbers. We're going to do 8 3/4 is equivalent to, we know the whole number stays the same, so 8. We're writing this as 12. So let's see, 4 times 3 is 12. We're going to multiply the numerator times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So we have 8 and 9 twelfths as our first addend, or our first number that we're adding. Let's see, 2 and 2/3, we're going to rewrite as 2 and then 12. 3 times 4 equals 12. So let's multiply the top by 4. Sorry about the run-in. 2 times 4 is 8. So we know the second addend is going to be 2 and 8/12. Finally, let's see, we'll do blue. 5 and 1/2, we're going to rewrite as 5 and something over 12, because that's our common denominator. 2 times 6 equals 12, so we're going to multiply by 6 on the numerator. 1 times 6 is 6. So we have 5 and 6/12. So we're going to add all these addends together. We had 8 and 9/12 plus 2 and 8/12 plus 5 and 6/12. Start by adding the fractions first. We know our denominator is going to be 12. 9/12 plus 8/12 is 17/12 plus 6/12. Well, I know 17 plus 6 is 23. So 17/12 plus 6/12 is going to be 23/12. Now let's add the whole numbers. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 5 is 15. 15 and 23/12, which is equal to, well, I know 1 whole is 12/12, so I'm going to have that as 16. 16. And now I'm at 12/12. I need 11 more. I need 11 more to get to 23/12. So now we have 16 and 11/12.